there is one boundary you have not yet drawn. And it is the single thing standing between the life you are tolerating and the life you actually deserve. Now, I know that sounds bold. I know that sounds like a big promise. But if you are a Scorpio and you have been feeling like something is slightly off, like you keep giving more than you receive, like you keep ending up in the same emotional loops no matter how hard you try to break free, then what I am about to share with you over the next several minutes is going to hit differently. This is not a surface-level conversation. This is not about vague predictions or empty motivation. This is about one specific shift, one boundary, that has the power to reorganize your entire week, your entire month, and honestly, your entire approach to how you move through the world. Scorpio energy is deep. You already know that. You feel things that other people do not even notice. You pick up on tension in a room before anyone speaks. You sense when someone is being dishonest even when their words sound perfect. That depth is your gift. But it is also the reason you get drained faster than most. It is the reason you carry weight that does not belong to you. And it is the reason this particular boundary matters more for you than it does for almost any other sign. So stay with me. Every single tip I am going to walk you through today builds on the one before it. If you skip ahead, you will miss the thread that ties everything together. And trust me, the thread is where the real power lives. Tip 1. The boundary is not about keeping people out, it is about keeping yourself intact. Most people hear the word boundary and they immediately think of walls. They think of shutting doors, cutting people off, going silent. And yes, sometimes boundaries look like that. But for Scorpio, the most important boundary you will ever set has nothing to do with other people at all. It has to do with you. It has to do with the invisible line between what you feel and what you absorb. Because here is what happens when you do not have that line clearly drawn. You walk into a conversation with someone who is stressed, and within 5 minutes their stress becomes your stress. You sit across from someone who is angry, and suddenly your chest tightens, your jaw clenches, and you start replaying old arguments in your mind that have nothing to do with the present moment. That is not empathy. That is absorption. And there is a critical difference. Empathy says, I understand what you are feeling. Absorption says, I am now carrying what you are feeling. Scorpio, you were built for empathy. You were not built to be a sponge. But somewhere along the way, the line between those two things got blurred. Maybe it happened in childhood, when you learned that the best way to survive emotionally was to anticipate what everyone around you was feeling. Maybe it happened in a relationship where your partner's moods became your responsibility. Maybe it happened so gradually that you did not even notice it was happening until you woke up one day exhausted for no obvious reason. The boundary I am talking about this week is the decision to stop absorbing, not to stop caring, not to stop feeling, but to stop taking on energy that is not yours to carry. This is not cold. This is not selfish. This is survival. And more than survival, it is the foundation for everything else we are going to talk about today. Because when you are carrying weight that does not belong to you, every decision you make is distorted. Every choice you make is filtered through someone else's emotion. Every step you take forward is weighed down by something you were never supposed to pick up in the first place. So the first thing I need you to understand this week is that setting this boundary is not about what you are saying no to. It is about what you are saying yes to. You are saying yes to your own clarity. You are saying yes to your own energy. You are saying yes to the version of yourself that exists when you are not drowning in everyone else's chaos. And that version of you, that is the version that changes everything. That is the version that makes decisions from strength instead of fear. That is the version that attracts the right people, the right opportunities, the right outcomes. But you cannot access that version while you are still absorbing everything around you like a storm cloud gathering moisture from every direction. This week, the boundary starts here. It starts with recognizing the difference between feeling something and owning something. Not every emotion that passes through you belongs to you. And the moment you truly understand that, the weight begins to lift. Tip 2. Stop responding to every emotional signal as if it is an emergency. Scorpio, your radar is always on. You are constantly scanning, constantly reading, constantly analyzing the emotional temperature of every room you walk into. And that radar is powerful. It has protected you more times than you can count. It has warned you about people who turned out to be exactly as dishonest as you suspected. It has helped you navigate situations that would have blindsided someone less perceptive. But here is the problem. Your radar does not have a volume control. It treats everything at the same level of urgency. A A coworker's bad mood hits you the same way a genuine threat does. A friend's offhand comment triggers the same internal alarm as a real betrayal. A stranger's energy in a grocery store can shift your entire afternoon. And because your system treats every signal as urgent, you are living in a constant state of low-level emergency. Your body does not know the difference between real danger and perceived tension. Your nervous system is firing the same response whether someone is actually coming at you or whether someone just seems slightly distant in a text message. This is where the boundary gets practical. This week, I need you to start asking yourself one question before you react to any emotional signal. The question is simple. Is this actually mine to respond to right now? Not, is this real? Because yes, what you are sensing is almost always real. Your instincts are sharp. The question is not whether the signal is accurate. The question is whether it requires your immediate response. Because 9 times out of 10, it does not. 9 times out of 10, the tension you are picking up on is someone else's process. It is their bad day, their unresolved issue, their internal struggle, and you jumping in to fix it, to address it, to carry it. That does not help them, and it absolutely drains you. Think about how much energy you have spent this past month alone responding to things that were never emergencies. Think about the conversations you replayed in your head for hours, the text messages you overanalyzed, the moods you tried to manage that were not yours to manage. Now imagine if you had that energy back. Imagine if all of that mental and emotional bandwidth was redirected toward your own goals, your own healing, your own growth. That is what this boundary gives you. It does not turn off your radar. It simply gives you a filter. It lets you receive the information without being consumed by it. You can notice that someone is upset without making it your job to fix them. You can sense that something is off without launching a full investigation. You can feel the tension without absorbing it into your body. This is not about becoming numb. This is about becoming selective. And Scorpio, selectivity is one of the most powerful tools you have. You already use it in other areas of your life. You are selective about who you trust, who you let in, who gets access to your inner world. Now it is time to apply that same selectivity to which emotional signals deserve your energy, and which ones you can simply acknowledge and release. The shift is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is internal. But the results are anything but quiet. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Tip 3. Silence is not avoidance. It is your most underrated power move. There is a pattern that Scorpio falls into more often than you might realize, and it is this. You feel something deeply, and because you feel it so deeply, you believe you need to express it immediately. You believe that if you do not say something right now, the moment will pass, the truth will be buried, and the other person will never understand what you are going through. So you speak, you confront, you lay it all out on the table, sometimes with precision and sometimes with intensity that surprises even you. And here is the thing. Sometimes that is exactly the right move. Sometimes speaking your truth in the moment is powerful and necessary. But this week, I want you to consider something different. I want you to consider the power of strategic silence. Not silence as avoidance. Not silence as punishment. Not the silent treatment, which is something else entirely. I am talking about the kind of silence that gives you space to process before you respond. The kind of silence that lets the other person sit with their own words instead of rushing to fill the gap. The kind of silence that protects your energy by refusing to engage in a conversation that is not going anywhere productive. Scorpio, you have a tendency to over-explain yourself. You want people to understand not just what you are feeling, but the entire history of why you are feeling it. You want them to see every layer, every nuance, every thread of the emotional tapestry you are weaving. And that desire for deep understanding is beautiful, but it also leaves you exposed. Because when you lay everything out for someone who is not ready to receive it, you do not feel understood. You feel emptied. You feel like you gave away something precious and got nothing in return. This week, the boundary around silence is about choosing when to speak and when to hold. It is about recognizing that not every feeling needs to be verbalized in real time. Some feelings need to be sat with. Some truths need to marinate before they are shared. And some conversations are better had after you have had time to separate your emotion from your clarity. Think about the last time you said something in the heat of a moment that you later wished you had phrased differently. Think about the last time you poured your heart out to someone who was not in a place to hear it. Think about the last time you exhausted yourself trying to make someone understand something that they were never going to understand no matter how many words you used. Now imagine if in those moments you had chosen silence instead. Not forever, not as a permanent wall. Just for long enough to let the initial wave pass. Just for long enough to find the version of the truth that is clear, direct, and impossible to misunderstand. That is what strategic silence does. It does not suppress your feelings. It refines them. It takes the raw, unfiltered intensity and shapes it into something that lands exactly where it needs to. And there is something else about silence that most people overlook. When you stop talking, other people start revealing themselves. When you hold space without filling it, the other person will almost always rush to fill it themselves. And what they say in those unguarded moments tells you everything you need to know. Scorpio, your silence is not weakness. It is intelligence gathering. It is emotional strategy. It is the kind of power move that most people will never understand because they are too busy talking to notice how much you are learning by simply listening. Use this power consciously this week. Choose your moments. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. Tip 4. Your loyalty has been weaponized against you, and this is the week you take it back. Let me say something that might sting a little, but I need you to hear it. Your loyalty, which is one of your greatest qualities, has been used against you by people who figured out that you will stay long past the point where anyone else would have left. They learned that your commitment runs so deep that you will tolerate things that cross your own boundaries just to prove that you are not the type of person who gives up. And that pattern, that is not loyalty. That is a trap disguised as virtue. Real loyalty is mutual. It flows in both directions. It is not one person holding the entire relationship together, while the other person contributes nothing but their presence. Real loyalty is not staying in a situation that diminishes you because you made a promise once, or because you are afraid that leaving makes you a bad person. Scorpio, you have an incredible capacity for devotion. When you are in, you are all in. You do not do half measures. You do not do casual commitment. And because of that intensity, you attract people who recognize it and take advantage of it. They know that once they have your loyalty, they can push the line. They can take you for granted. They can show up inconsistently, give you crumbs of affection or attention, and rely on the fact that your devotion will keep you anchored even when they are not meeting you halfway. This week, the boundary is about redefining loyalty on your terms. Loyalty does not mean staying when staying costs you your peace. Loyalty does not mean forgiving the same offense for the 15th time. Loyalty does not mean pouring into someone who has shown you repeatedly that they are not willing to pour back. And here is the part that is going to challenge you the most. This redefinition might mean looking at some of your current relationships with honest eyes. Not with anger, not with resentment, just with clarity. Because when you are honest about who is meeting you where you are, and who is relying on your loyalty to avoid doing their part, the picture becomes very clear very quickly. This is not about keeping score. This is not about demanding perfection from the people in your life. This is about recognizing that loyalty without reciprocity is self-abandonment. And Scorpio, you have abandoned yourself enough. You have put other people's comfort ahead of your own stability enough times. You have been so far for others that you forgot what standing straight feels like. This week you stand straight. This week you look at every relationship, every commitment, every obligation, and you ask yourself, is my loyalty being honored here, or is it being exploited? And if the answer is exploitation, you do not need to burn bridges. You do not need to have a dramatic confrontation. You simply need to stop overextending. Pull back to what is fair. Give what you receive. Match the energy that is being given to you instead of always being the one who gives more. This shift is quiet, but it is revolutionary. And the people who truly value you will not be threatened by it. They will respect it. The ones who push back against your boundaries are the ones who were benefiting from your lack of them. Remember that. Tip 5. Stop rehearsing conversations that may never happen. There is something you do, Scorpio, that eats up more of your mental energy than almost anything else. You rehearse. You play out conversations in your mind before they happen. You imagine what you will say, what they will say, how you will respond to their response, and then what you will say after that. You create entire dialogues, sometimes arguments, sometimes confessions, sometimes confrontations, all inside your head, all all before a single word has been spoken out loud. And most of the time, the conversation never happens the way you rehearsed it. Most of the time, the other person does not even bring up the topic you have been preparing for. Most of the time, the scenario you spent hours mentally constructing dissolves into nothing, and you are left carrying the emotional residue of a fight that existed only in your imagination. This is one of the most draining habits a Scorpio can have, and very few people talk about it, because from the outside you look calm, you look composed. Nobody knows that inside you have been running emotional simulations for the last 3 hours. Nobody knows that you have already lived through 5 versions of a conversation that has not started yet. Nobody knows that by the time the actual interaction happens, you are already exhausted from the rehearsals. This week, the boundary is against your own mind. It is the decision to stop rehearsing and start trusting. Trusting that when the moment comes, you will know what to say. Trusting that your instincts are sharp enough to navigate the conversation in real time. Trusting that you do not need to control every possible outcome before it arrives. Because here is what the rehearsing is really about. It is about control. You want to be prepared for every possible version of events, so that nothing can catch you off guard. You want to eliminate the possibility of being surprised, of being vulnerable, of being in a position where you do not have the perfect response ready. And I understand that impulse. For someone who has been hurt before, for someone who has been blindsided by betrayal or dishonesty, the desire to control every interaction makes perfect sense. But it comes at a cost. And the cost is that you are never fully present. When you are rehearsing future conversations, you are not here. You are not in this moment. You are not enjoying what is happening right now. You are somewhere in a future that might not even exist, preparing for a battle that might never come. This week, every time you catch yourself rehearsing, I want you to stop and redirect. Come back to what is happening right now. Come back to this breath, this moment, this actual reality instead of the projected one. You will be amazed at how much energy you recover. You will be amazed at how much lighter you feel when you are not carrying the weight of conversations that have not happened yet. And here is the beautiful paradox. When you stop rehearsing and start trusting yourself to handle things in the moment, you actually perform better. Your responses are more authentic. Your words are more precise. Your energy is cleaner because it is not tangled up in anxiety and projection. Trust yourself this week, Scorpio. You are sharper than you give yourself credit for. Tip 6. Your need to understand everything is keeping you stuck. Scorpio has a relationship with understanding that borders on obsession. You need to know why. You need to know the reason behind every action, every decision, every shift in someone's behavior. If someone pulls away, you do not just feel the distance. You need to understand it. If something goes wrong, you do not just feel the disappointment. You need to dissect it, examine every angle, and arrive at a complete explanation that accounts for every variable. And listen, that analytical depth is part of what makes you extraordinary. You see patterns that others miss. You connect dots that others do not even know exist. Your ability to understand complex emotional dynamics is genuinely rare. But there is a shadow side to this gift, and it shows up when you cannot find the answer. Because when you cannot understand something, you do not just move on. You spiral. You replay. You dig deeper and deeper, looking for the missing piece that will make everything make sense. And sometimes, Scorpio, the missing piece does not exist. Sometimes there is no logical explanation. Sometimes people do things that do not make sense, not because there is a hidden reason you have not found yet, but because people are messy and inconsistent, and sometimes they do not even understand their own behavior. This week, the boundary is about accepting that not everything has an answer. It is about giving yourself permission to move forward without full understanding. It is about releasing the grip on why and replacing it with what now. This is incredibly difficult for you. I know that. Your entire emotional operating system is built on depth and comprehension. Asking you to let go of understanding something is like asking a fish to let go of water. But consider the alternative. Consider how long you have spent stuck in loops, trying to understand why someone treated you a certain way, why a situation unfolded the way it did, why things did not work out the way you thought they would. Consider how much time and energy has been consumed by the search for answers that may never come. And then consider what would happen if you redirected all of that energy toward building something new instead of dissecting something old. What if you took all of that analytical power and pointed it forward instead of backward? What if you used your depth to create instead of to excavate? The answers you are looking for in the past are not going to change the past. But the energy you are spending on that search could absolutely change your future. This week, practice the art of moving on without closure. Not because closure is unimportant, but because sometimes the closure you need is the decision to stop looking for it. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, "I do not understand this, and I am choosing to move forward anyway." That is not ignorance. That is not surrender. That is wisdom. And Scorpio, you have more than enough depth to afford a little bit of letting go. The understanding you are chasing will not give you peace, but the decision to release it might. Try it this week. Just one situation, just one loop. Let it go and see what opens up in the space it leaves behind. Tip 7. You are confusing intensity with intimacy. This one might challenge you more than anything else I have said so far, so take a breath before we go deeper. Scorpio is drawn to intensity. You crave experiences that are raw, real, unfiltered. You want connections that go beneath the surface. You want conversations that strip away the small talk and get to the heart of what someone actually thinks and feels. And there is nothing wrong with that desire. The world needs people who are willing to go deep. But here is where it gets tricky. Somewhere along the way, you started equating intensity with intimacy. You started believing that if a connection does not feel overwhelming, consuming, all-encompassing, then it is not real. If it does not keep you up at night, if it does not make your heart race, if it does not feel like standing on the edge of a cliff, then it must not be deep enough to matter. And that belief, Scorpio, has steered you away from some of the healthiest connections you could have had and towards some of the most destructive ones. Because intensity and intimacy are not the same thing. Intensity is a feeling. It is adrenaline. It is the rush you get from uncertainty, from push-pull dynamics, from not knowing where you stand. Intensity is chaos dressed up as passion. Intimacy is different. Intimacy is quiet. It is steady. It is knowing that someone is there without needing to test it. It is the slow unfolding of trust over time, not the explosion of chemistry in a single moment. Intimacy does not keep you up at night wondering. It lets you sleep peacefully because you are secure. This week, I want you to examine your relationships through this lens. Where have you been chasing intensity and calling it love? Where have you been mistaking chaos for connection? Where have you dismissed something stable because it did not feel dramatic enough? This is not about settling. This is not about accepting less than you deserve. This is about redefining what enough actually looks like. Because the truth is, the most transformative relationships are often the ones that feel the least dramatic. They do not announce themselves with fireworks. They announce themselves with consistency. They show up on ordinary days, not just during crises. They offer you peace, not just passion. And for someone who has been running on intensity for as long as you have, peace might feel boring at first. It might feel flat. It might feel like something is missing. But that thing that feels like it is missing, that is just the absence of anxiety. That is just the absence of the hypervigilance you have been living with for so long that you confused it with excitement. This week, sit with the quiet connections. Give them space. Let yourself be bored, if that is what it takes, long enough to realize that the boredom is actually calm. And calm, Scorpio, is where real intimacy begins to grow. Not in the storm. In the stillness after the storm passes. Tip 8. Protect your energy before you give it away. Every single morning. Here is something that most Scorpios do not realize they are doing. You start your day already giving. Before your feet even hit the floor, your mind is already running through what other people need. You are thinking about the text you need to respond to, the problem someone brought to you yesterday, the emotional weight of a conversation that has not happened yet. You are already planning how to manage someone else's feelings before you have even checked in with your own. And by the time you actually start your day, your energy is already partially spent. You have already allocated emotional resources to other people before you have given a single ounce to yourself. And then you wonder why you feel depleted by the afternoon. You wonder why you have no motivation for the things you say matter to you. You wonder why your own goals keep getting pushed to the bottom of the list while everyone else's needs somehow always make it to the top. This week, the boundary is about your mornings. It is about creating a protected window of time, even if it is just 20 minutes, where you are not available to anyone else's emotional needs. Not your partner, not your children, not your friends, not the notifications on your phone, not the messages waiting in your inbox. Just you. And I am not talking about meditation, although that can be part of it if that works for you. I am talking about conscious attention to your own internal state before you open yourself up to anyone else's. What are you feeling right now? Not what are they feeling. What are you feeling? What do you need today? Not what do they need. What do you need? What is your intention for today? Not what does the world expect of you. What do you want? These questions sound simple, but for Scorpio, they can be surprisingly hard to answer. Because you are so attuned to everyone else's emotional landscape that your own internal compass can get buried under layers of other people's input. You might not even know what you are feeling underneath all of that noise. And that is exactly why this morning boundary matters. It clears the noise. It gives your own voice a chance to be heard before it gets drowned out by everyone else's. Think of it like this. Your energy is a finite resource. Every day you wake up with a certain amount, and once it is spent, it is gone until you rest and recharge. If you are giving away 70% of that energy to other people's emotions before noon, you are trying to run your entire life on 30%. No wonder you feel stuck. No wonder you feel like you are spinning your wheels. No wonder the things that matter most to you keep getting pushed aside. This morning boundary is not selfish. It is strategic. It is the decision to fill your own reserves before you start pouring into others. It is the recognition that you cannot give from empty, and that taking care of yourself first is not a luxury. It is a requirement. Start tomorrow. Before you pick up your phone, before you check your messages, before you engage with anyone else's energy, check in with yourself. Ask yourself what you need. Listen to the answer. And honor it. Some people watch. Others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting. It's about moving. Tip 9. Let people be wrong about you without correcting them. This one is going to test every fiber of your Scorpio nature, because if there is one thing you cannot stand, it is being misunderstood. You would rather endure almost anything than sit quietly while someone has the wrong impression of you. It eats at you. It burns. It feels like an injustice that demands correction. And so you explain. You defend. You over-clarify. You present evidence. You build your case like you are standing before a judge, determined to prove that their perception of you does not match the reality of who you are. And sometimes you win the argument. Sometimes the other person nods and says, "You know what, you are right, I misjudged you." But more often than not, the people who have already made up their minds about you are not going to change those minds no matter how compelling your case is. And all that energy you spent trying to correct their perception, it is gone, spent on someone who was never going to see you clearly anyway. This week, the boundary is radical. Let them be wrong. Let them think what they think. Let them carry their misperception like a suitcase full of someone else's clothes. It does not fit you, and you do not need to convince them of that. Your life is not a courtroom. You are not on trial. And the people who matter, the people who genuinely care about knowing the real you, they do not need a presentation. They already see you. They see you in your actions, in your consistency, in the way you show up day after day. They do not need a speech because your character speaks for itself. The ones who need convincing are the ones who were never going to be convinced. And pouring your energy into that futile effort robs you of the energy you could be spending on the people and the pursuits that actually deserve it. I know this is hard for Scorpio because your identity matters to you deeply. You are not someone who takes being mischaracterized lightly. You have a strong sense of who you are, and when someone challenges that, it feels personal in a way that goes beyond the surface. It strikes at something fundamental. But consider this. The most powerful version of you is the one who is so secure in who they are that other people's opinions become irrelevant. Not dismissed, not suppressed, simply irrelevant. When you know who you are at your core, when you have that unshakable inner certainty, someone else's wrong impression loses its power over you. It becomes their problem, not yours. It becomes their limited vision, not your reality. This week, every time you feel the urge to correct someone's perception of you, pause. Ask yourself, will this change anything? Will this person suddenly see me clearly because I explained myself one more time? Or am I spending energy on a locked door when there are open ones waiting for my attention? Choose the open doors, Scorpio. Let the locked ones stay locked. The people behind them were not your people anyway. And the energy you save by not fighting battles that cannot be won, that energy becomes available for something far more important. It becomes available for building the life you actually want instead of defending the one you have been living. Tip 10. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to make your move. Scorpio, you are strategic by nature. You observe, you analyze, you wait for the right time to act. And in many situations, that patience serves you incredibly well. You do not rush in blindly. You do not make impulsive decisions that blow up in your face. You wait until you have enough information, enough certainty, enough confidence that your move will land exactly the way you intended. But here is the shadow side of that strategic patience. Sometimes you wait too long. Sometimes the analysis becomes paralysis. Sometimes you are so focused on finding the perfect moment that you miss dozens of good enough moments that would have moved you forward. And the truth is, Scorpio, there is no perfect moment. There never has been. Every moment of action carries some degree of risk, some degree of uncertainty, some element you cannot control no matter how much you prepare. And if you wait until every variable is accounted for, you will be waiting forever. This week, I want you to look at the areas of your life where you have been waiting, the goal you have been planning but not starting, the conversation you have been rehearsing but not having, the change you have been thinking about but not making, the dream you have been protecting in your mind but not bringing into the physical world. What are you waiting for? What condition needs to be met before you give yourself permission to begin? And more importantly, is that condition realistic, or is it a sophisticated form of self-sabotage? Because Scorpio, you are brilliant enough to create very convincing reasons to delay. Your reasons do not sound like fear. They sound like wisdom. They sound like patience. They sound like strategic thinking. But underneath all of those reasonable explanations, there is often a simple truth. You are afraid of what happens when you actually go for it. You are afraid of failure, yes, but perhaps even more than that, you are afraid of what success would require of you. You are afraid of the visibility that comes with achievement. You are afraid of the vulnerability that comes with putting something real out into the world. You are afraid that if you give it everything you have and it does not work, you will not have the excuse of, "I was not really trying to protect your ego." This week, the boundary is against your own perfectionism. It is the decision to act before you feel ready. It is the commitment to start before the conditions are ideal. It is the understanding that a good plan executed today is worth more than a perfect plan that never leaves the drawing board. You do not need more information. You do not need more time. You do not need more certainty. You need to take the first step. Just the first one. Not the whole staircase. Not the entire plan from beginning to end. Just the next thing. The one small action that moves you from thinking to doing, from planning to building, from waiting to living. And once you take that step, something shifts. The momentum begins. The fear does not disappear, but it gets quieter. The path does not become clear, but it becomes walkable. And you realize that the perfect moment you were waiting for was never going to arrive on its own. You had to create it by moving. Start this week, Scorpio. Not next month. Not when everything lines up. This week, the energy is here. The window is open. And every day you wait is a day you lose to a standard that was never achievable in the first place. Tip 11. Your transformation does not require anyone else's understanding. Here is something that Scorpio needs to hear, perhaps more than any other sign. You do not need permission to change. You do not need the people around you to understand why you are shifting, why your priorities are different now, why you are no longer interested in the things that used to define you. You do not need them to approve of your evolution. You do not need them to see the logic in your transformation. And you certainly do not need them to be comfortable with it. Because here is what happens when you start setting boundaries, when you start protecting your energy, when you start moving differently. The people who were used to the old version of you get uncomfortable. They push back. They question. They say things like, "You have changed," and they do not mean it as a compliment. They mean it as an accusation, as if changing is a betrayal, as if growing is a personal offense against everyone who knew you before you grew. And for Scorpio, that pushback can be devastating, because despite your reputation for being tough and independent, you care deeply about the people in your inner circle. Their opinion matters to you in a way that you might not always show on the surface, but that you feel intensely underneath. So when they resist your growth, when they challenge your changes, when they try to pull you back into the version of yourself that was more convenient for them, it creates a genuine internal conflict. Part of you wants to keep evolving. part of you wants to go back to the familiar, to the comfortable, to the version of you that everyone else was happy with. This week, the boundary is clear. Your transformation is not up for committee review. It is not a proposal that needs to be approved by the people in your life. It is a decision, your decision. And if the people around you cannot handle the person you are becoming, that tells you something important about the role they were playing in your life. They were not supporting you. They were supporting the version of you that served them. And those are very different things. I am not saying you need to announce your changes with a megaphone. I am not saying you need to justify your growth to anyone. In fact, the less you explain, the better. Let your actions speak. Let the changes become visible through the way you carry yourself, the way you protect your time, the way you respond to situations that used to send you spiraling. Let the transformation be quiet and undeniable, because the right people will not need an explanation. They will see the shift and they will respect it. They might even be inspired by it. They will say, something is different about you, and they will mean it as the compliment it is. Those are your people. Those are the ones who deserve front row seats to your evolution. The rest, the ones who want the old you back, the ones who feel threatened by your growth, the ones who try to guilt you into shrinking, they can watch from a distance. Your transformation is not negotiable. It is not temporary. It is not a phase. It is the result of everything you have been through, everything you have learned, and everything you have decided you will no longer accept. And no one else's discomfort gets to override that. This week carries a weight that Scorpio understands better than most. It is not just about tips and strategies and things to think about. It is about a fundamental shift in how you show up for yourself. Every section we have walked through today connects back to that one core idea. The boundary that changes everything is the boundary you set with yourself. It is the decision to stop absorbing what is not yours, to stop responding to every emotional signal like an emergency, to use silence as power instead of punishment, to redefine loyalty on your terms, to stop rehearsing conversations that may never happen, to release the need to understand everything, to know the difference between intensity and intimacy, to protect your mornings before giving yourself away, to let people be wrong about you, to stop waiting for the perfect moment, and to transform without asking for permission. That is not a small list. And I am not asking you to master all of it in a single week. I am asking you to start. Pick the one that hit you the hardest. Pick the one that made your chest tighten, the one that made you pause, the one that you are still thinking about right now. That is your entry point. That is where the work begins. Because Scorpio, you are not someone who does things halfway. Once you decide to shift, the shift happens. That intensity that you carry, the same intensity we talked about earlier. It is not just something that creates challenges. It is also the engine of your transformation. When you point that intensity at your own growth, at your own boundaries, at your own healing, nothing and no one can stop what happens next. And I do not say that lightly. I say it because I have watched this energy move in Scorpio over and over again. When you decide, truly decide, that something is going to change, it changes. Not gradually, not eventually. It changes with a force that rearranges everything around it. So the question this week is not whether you have the power to set this boundary. You do. The question is whether you are ready to stop using that power to manage everyone else's experience and start using it to build your own. The answer, I believe, is yes. And the reason I believe that is because you are still here. You watched this entire video. You felt every section land. You recognized yourself in every word. And that recognition is not passive. It is the beginning of movement. You are already shifting. You are already drawing the line. And the version of you that exists on the other side of this boundary, that version is closer than you think. Not in some distant future. Not after more preparation, more analysis, more waiting. Right now, this week, starting with the very next decision you make. Let it be different. Let it be intentional. Let it be yours. You have two options after this video. Close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.